This is so cool, guys. What we're doing today at my house is Construction Photos 2.0. This little $100,000 Leica camera is not only taking photos, but this thing that's spinning in the center, that's a laser that's shooting out in all directions, 360 degrees all the way around, and it's taking somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million points per second. And what it's gonna do is give me a full 3D, what they call a point cloud of my entire house. We're gonna move this to different locations, and my entire house at this stage, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing stage, right before we get an installation, will be fully documented. Now, I use a service called Multivista, and I've used them for quite a few years now, and they have a really cool app on my phone. And a lot of builders take photos of their jobs and drop them into, Apple Photos, but this is definitely the next level. But I would call this kind of the 1.0 version, and I've been doing this for a few years. So here's a house I built that, let's say if we want to take a look at the great room, all we do is press on the floor plan, and now I can see a full 360 view, and I can scan anywhere in the whole house. So like, let's say I want to take a look at the staircase and how that was built, or the floor joist, or the steel. I can do that in a photos version, but this is the next level up. This is the 2.0, I'd call it. This laser gives this point cloud so that I can actually give a Revit file to an architect in 5 years or 30 years. If I want to remodel this house, I've got all those measurements, and an architect can actually pull that 3D file into their computer. It also means on the new version of this, on this app, I can measure. So if I have a plumbing leak or an electrical issue, or I want to replace a window, I can actually measure on the app in the field or at my desktop wherever I am. Today's video all about Multivista. Let's get going. All right, guys, I want to introduce you to Stephen Greer. Stephen's the manager of the Austin and San Antonio franchise of Multivista. Now, Stephen, I've worked with you guys for years, but not with this camera. It was the other camera. Talk to me about the difference between what you were doing before for me and this new version that you've got.
Awesome. First, thanks for having me in today, Matt. I appreciate it. This is the Leica Rtc 360. It's really exciting technology. We've been using it for about 1.5 years now. Last year was really a beta year for us, getting used to the technology. The technology is extremely exciting, adds measurable dimensions to all of the data that we've done in the past. In the past, you've hired us to come in, document your houses in MEP conditions just prior to covering, so you have that X-ray vision into the walls for your house.
That's those photos that I showed on your app before, but this is the next step beyond that, not just photos, but actually being able to measure, correct?
Yep, absolutely. This machine is extremely smart. There's a couple different settings on the system. As you mentioned earlier, it can take 500 to 2 million points per second. You can choose small, medium, large, decide the density, the amount of coverage you want. We typically scan on the small because 500,000 points per second already creates a massive amount of data and still really locks in your measurable dimensions to within 1 millimeter or 2 anyways.
Wow, so within 1 or 2 millimeters of precision on this device.
Yep, absolutely. You're gonna be able to measure within 1 to 2 millimeters.
That's pretty precise.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's also a couple different features on there. There's a 2-pass feature, which is a smart feature, and it's for busier construction sites. As you know, there's people out on sites all the time doing different work. You don't always have the ability to tell a whole site to shut down to perform this scan.
So if someone walks through while you're scanning, if you did 2 passes, the machine's smart enough to basically eliminate that person on the second pass.
Exactly. Anything that it does not see on pass 2 that it saw on pass 1 or vice versa will not be included in that scan. The machine is smart enough to eliminate moving features within its scan.
That's pretty cool. And then how does that connect? Like, you've got your iPad up there now, and I'm seeing a bunch of dots on your screen. What is that data that we're seeing there?
Yep, so as I'm scanning the house, it's populating each and every scan. I can connect and link them. There are eyeballs on the camera, so you see this blinking light. Once I perform a scan and start walking around, if we move that machine, the light will actually trace and walk around the project with us, helps us create the overall model after we've scanned all of level 1 and level 2.
That's pretty cool. Now my house is not very big. I'm only 2,900 square feet. How long would it take to document this whole house, and what's that process look like?
So documenting houses typically take anywhere from about 2 hours to 8 hours, depending on the complexity of the house, how many different rooms, square footages. We typically can cover about 10,000 square feet in a day. And so it takes a little bit longer than a Matterport scan for sure, but it's worth it for the extra data.
Now, Stephen, I know you guys are doing probably more commercial than residential. I've got a lot of architects, a lot of builders watching this. Give us kind of the price range on what this would cost on just the photo only side or with this point cloud laser measurement side.
When we are doing photo documentation on projects, our scopes, our photo scopes, individual shoots typically run between, on commercial projects, 5 to 10 cents per square foot. Let's say 10 cents per square foot on an MEP shoot to be safe. And if you're gonna laser scan the project, you're looking at about 3 times the increase in cost from the photo documentation. Homes, there's economy of scale. It's a little bit different. It's not really a square footage type, but typically for in-walls on a custom home, clients are paying anywhere from $800 to $1,500 for an MEP shoot, depending on the size of your house. And if you want a laser scan, again, back to that 3-time margin, you're probably going to spend somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 to laser scan the interior of your home.
Yeah, I want to say most of the time my jobs have been, like $1,100, $1,200 with you guys, which is cheap insurance for me as a builder. But with that being said, Stephen, let's finish up the scan. I'm going to move on construction. I'm going to actually insulate and drywall, and let's meet back here in about a month, and let's show these guys what it looks like when the house is covered up. And we'll talk about a couple scenarios where we might be able to use your software. So we'll see you guys back here in a month. All right, guys, it's been a couple of weeks. The drywall is up. It's a little dark in here because it's about to storm outside. But this is the stage of construction where Multi-Vista really shines. Now, remember last time we showed you how it photographed and took that point cloud of laser measurement. Let me show you how that translates to me in the field. So first off, on my iPhone, I've got the Multi-Vista app. I'm just gonna hit that app. And now I've got a list of my projects that I can scroll through. And then we're gonna hit My House. Now when we get here, we've got photos and floor plans. Literally 6 hours ago, at the beginning of the day, I was on the job talking with the tile press guys about my tile install. And I've got some recessed speakers going on in my shower, some really cool Kohler speaker tiles that I need to sink into the wall. And the first thing I thought of was, thank God I've got Multi-Vista. So here's what I did. I hit the floor plan on here. I hit level 1, and then I pinched and zoomed over here until I got to my master shower. Now you can see I've got number 136 there. That's the photograph of that wall. It comes up on the bottom of my screen, and I'm just gonna tap that. And now I've got that photograph that I can actually pinch and zoom into and take a look at what's behind the wall. Okay, so here's the photo. Now I'm in the shower area and I've got the tile guys with me and they're like, well, hey, what do we do? How do we sync these? Where do you want them? And I had to look at the photos to go, all right, now where do I have the room for these speaker tiles? And if you look at this photograph, you'll notice on the left-hand side, right where that Ethernet cable's coming out, that'll be my future Kohler DTV Plus digital shower controller. There's no thermostatic valve in the wall. I've got 2 vent pipes in there, and I needed to sync that speaker basically just to the left of that vent pipe. So now I'm looking at the studs that I've got in place there, and if you look closely, it looks like you've got a big stud pack, like 3-4 studs, and then a king stud to the double top plate. And right above the double top plate, you see there's nothing bearing on that area, which allowed me to go, all right, guys, no big deal. We're gonna actually auger out a little bit of that stud, especially knowing I've got a double wall right there and another header and another wall behind, so that we're gonna weaken that stud a little bit, but there's plenty of structure here, and I can actually sync that speaker on the left-hand side. Now the speaker on the right-hand side, I was also able to pinch and zoom and see, hey, I've got a cavity there. But here's the beauty of the system. I can also measure. Now, if we flip over to the other view of this room, this is the 360 view where I can basically scroll around the room, kind of like you might be used to doing on Google Maps, let's say. I'm able to scroll around the room and then I'm able to tap on the measure feature on my iPhone. Now, of course, you can do this a little easier on your computer or maybe even your iPad, but sometimes it's really nice to do it on your phone in the field. Then I click on the one stud and click on the other and I can see, hey, I got plenty of room in here. Looks like I'm at 10 inches or greater of space, hollow space, that I can sink that speaker tile into. Now, that's just one example that literally happened to me today, but another example I think we use and have used all the time over the years is, what if I want to add an extra outlet to this wall right here, or what if an outlet got covered up? Being able to de-skin this wall and see what's there prior to the sheetrock going on, and in fact prior to the insulation going on, tons of benefits, tons of benefits. The last example that I want to mention is, remember we talked about that point cloud that the camera was scanning everywhere. Let's say in 10 years from now, I want to remodel this house and I want to blow out this back wall and add an addition. I might want to look at this back sliding glass door that I've got here and go, what's my header size? What's the stud spacing here? What loads are coming down from above? I can easily do that on the desktop, but more importantly, I can download that into a CAD file, give that to my architect or my engineer, and it'd be super easy for them to do those remodel plans for me in the future. Again, because I'm able to kind of de-skin the wall and look at it with X-ray vision on. Anyways, a big fan of Multivista. They've got affiliates all over the country, so there's probably, if you're in a major metro area, there's probably a Multivista in your town. You can look them up at multivista.com. Hopefully you learned something here, and ultimately, if you don't use Multivista, you could go back to the kind of analog version that I did years ago, which is get a wide-angle lens and a good digital camera, set it to high resolution, and take a photograph in every location of your house, including up and down, and catalog that really well. But I think you'll find, for the money and for the ability for you to get later into Multivista and quickly get what you need, it's a total no-brainer for me and my jobs. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the Build Show. If you're not currently a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.